This is Housebound. I'm Chris,
I'm Holly.
I'm Ashlyn.
I'm Greg.
and you're invited.
Welcome to Housebound, a podcast we made because we needed company. In it, we talk about things that are on our mind, and today we're talking about the wellness movement. What do you guys think of when you hear the word wellness?
When I think of wellness, I think of like things that are adjacent to health.
Pseudoscience, yeah?
Health adjacent.
Yeah.
Where it looks like health, and then you get a little bit closer.
Yeah. Hey, what's that? Yeah, that's my connotation to it too.
I sit before you, a pinnacle of health and fitness, willing and ready to tell you that the definition of the wellness movement is, from my perspective anyway, I'm getting serious here. It's like the current movement of peoples to actively engage in a physical lifestyle, to get each other fitter and healthier. And like, yeah, there's like pseudoscience-y type things that always pop up on the fringe there, or maybe not just on the fringe, maybe full mainstream. But like, in my mind, it's like the community of people online in today's day and age that are pushing forward this desire for peoples to be fitter and healthier, and so that's kind of what comes to my mind when I think of it.
So
Okay.
wait, that's a bad thing?
No, the fringe sciencey stuff, like the stuff that even the stuff that isn't like completely disproven, but is a little bit far fetched. Like it could be dangerous, but it doesn't. It in my mind, the wellness movement as a whole is kind of like the, I guess, well, currently like something that's most recent, like the reconciliation movement, or the Me Too movement, or Black Lives Matter movement. Like there's things about it that you can find that might be a negative aspect to it, but like there's often positive parts of it. I'm not going to vouch for every
Blanket,
facet
So
of
it's
every
almost like
movement,
nothing in the world is perfect.
yeah, or like completely black and white. But I think that the idea that people get out and get healthier and get live a healthier, longer life, like I think that's totally reasonable and totally fine. Like,
Yeah, the wellness movement is like drink more water, and I'm on board. And then
Sure.
they're like, and go to Reiki therapy, and I'm like, you lost me. I'll just stick with the water though. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just sort of, I think, yeah, there's like positives where I'm like, yeah, it's good to be thinking about taking on a healthy lifestyle and stuff. But then I think when I think of the wellness movement specifically, I think of the companies and products that take advantage of that desire, and that's where I think it gets can be more negative, and you get into more of the pseudoscience. So
would you include things like labeling on products, whether it's consumable products or otherwise, like labeling that's like non-GMO or made with
100%.
made with plastics that are environmentally friendly somehow? I don't know. Like I obviously don't know the market, but
This is why I would include those. So when the wellness movement started, it was like the 1950s,
Okay.
actually, which is really interesting. And it was this one dude that was like, hey, I think that health isn't just not being sick. So this is his actual definition of the word health. The state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So I think that's a pretty like well-rounded idea of it. But now,
who was it that said it?
I didn't write his name down. Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's almost
Dude,
as if like
dude abides.
health mixed with enlightenment
Yeah.
equals wellness.
Which is really interesting. So this guy wrote this paper, and it didn't like catch on right away until kind of the 70s. And then it really didn't actually catch on until people started jogging.
First of all, it didn't catch on.
Like,
Second of all, it didn't catch on even more.
Yeah. People didn't
started
people
not running
didn't
from
jog.
each other, but just running for the heck of
Yeah.
it.
It was like a weird thing that really boosted the wellness movement was when people decided that they could just run around for no reason. Like it didn't need a purpose.
Hey.
It didn't need a sport or a
You
ball
don't
to
have to be
follow.
chasing me for me to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Running, am I right?
Right. Yes. It's kind of terrible. Anyways, people were like, "Hey, running makes you feel better, so let's add it into this wellness movement basically." But
does it make you feel better?
it doesn't make me feel better. It makes me feel like puking, but it makes Ashlyn feel better.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But in 2022, there is an institute called the Global Wellness Institute that I didn't know existed until today. And their definition of wellness is the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead to a state of holistic health. So if you put those two definitions together, and on their website, they talked about even health in relation to the environment, and not just your personal environment, but like globally.
Yeah.
It was
environment.
very holistic, like very much we're wrapping everything that we think could be good for people into this idea of wellness. And the idea of like GMOs being bad for you is very much a wellness movement
Oh,
thing
totally.
where it got trendy to not like them. And now people don't eat them because they think it'll turn them into corn or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
but
probably like putting calories and stuff on things as well.
yes, yeah, reporting so that people can make informed decisions.
Oh, I thought you meant like prior to 1940, calories were not added to anything. That's just like
No wonder they were so skinny.
1941.
McDonald's was amazing back then.
I was just like
How
trying
do
to
you
figure out
add
what exactly you were
calories?
saying. I'm like, adding calories to stuff? No, anyways.
yeah, to labels. Yeah.
It all looked like food, but it was actually hollow.
It was just air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you have to have it even on menus often. And it's required by law, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But one of the things, even with all of that regulation, one of the things that is a negative about the wellness industry is our pseudoscience area where it's completely unregulated. So I don't know. Have you guys ever heard of sorry, I want to get this right. Black oxygen organics?
What?
Or like hashtag boo, BOO.
No.
Oxygen
No, not at all.
organics.
Is it
Is this
new
like
or is it
stuff that they pull from like space, like black hole matter and
That would be a lot cooler.
Okay.
old? Dousing kids in like spatial radiation, cosmic radiation. I guess.
That sounds like a Fantastic Four comic.
Yeah. Now you can stretch.
Yeah. Wellness.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
tell
was
me what
good.
part of being invisible is well known.
Yeah.
You can. The bullies can't see you.
Make the pounds disappear. Keep 'em
Okay,
coming.
let's keep going. Human Torch.
Burn up those
Burning
calories.
calories.
Yeah. And the thing.
The thing is
I
just,
don't know.
I don't know. This is the thing.
It's ripping
Bulk it up.
muscles.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
He's solid.
The Rock.
Yeah. He is a rock.
Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, he is wellness?
He's the thing. He's the thing.
embodiment?
Well,
Okay.
What is
welcome to
We
Housebound.
backtracked.
I'd like to hear what your definition of wellness is. Well, I think it's like pseudoscience, but it's also mixed with some healthy stuff. Dwayne Johnson is wellness.
He's Mr. Wellness, right?
Yes, his famous Dwayne Johnson. You all know him by his famous nickname, Mr. Wellness. Hey kids, I'm here to teach you about
And then there's
wellness.
a
She's like
conference
Mr.
where-
Clean,
Yeah,
but more
exactly.
aligned.
Yeah.
More aligned.
His chakras are great.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Okay, so Black Oxygen Organics.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
The reason I brought it up was because it became a big thing during the pandemic because alternative medicine became a big thing during the pandemic because there was a lot of distrust towards the vaccine and people were looking for other things that could help them. And so this is actually a Canadian MLM
Oh man.
that sold dirt.
Wait, what?
Oh, it is an MLM. Okay.
They sold dirt. The creator of this MLM has been selling different variations of mud since 1990.
But it's clean mud?
It's let me
mud.
It's not dirty.
It's mud that is supposed to have a high amount of something called fulvic acid. Now, fulvic acid doesn't have any specific studied traits that are amazing, but he claimed that it was. He claimed a lot of health benefits for this stuff and sold it for a pretty penny, like $110 per little package of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it became a really big deal. But in 2021, the company shut down because both Health Canada and the states both found high levels of lead and arsenic because he was just picking up dirt from a place and selling it to people.
It wasn't even good mud.
It wasn't even good mud. So like,
build your own mud. It's like water and some like raw dirt.
Potting soil.
Yeah.
yeah.
Extra black for oxygen. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. But that's one of the problems is like these companies that can get away with it because they're not saying it's a medicine. They're not saying it's a food. They're not saying it's anything but dirt, but they're saying this can be helpful for you. So there's no regulation over companies like this. And people then just buy dirt and expect it to heal them. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
Very, very ironic.
Yes.
The dirt giveth and the dirt taketh away.
That reminds me.
We all
okay,
return to the dirt. I don't know.
I saw an Instagram ad not too long ago. Okay, so context. If you don't know who I am a white woman. And Instagram is well aware of that.
They know what you like.
So they target my Instagram ads like a very basic white woman. And so I got this Instagram ad and it didn't really say what it was, which intrigued me. It was just this like...
They got you.
So it was this nurse who is like turned to the side so you could see her like badge, RN badge on her shoulder.
Do they wear badges?
And she's
Is that
holding...
RN for like really not.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Because it's probably just a model. But she's holding an IV bag that looks like vitamin water almost.
So like it's colored?
But I think it's called... I'm trying to remember the company name.
Okay.
I think it's called Vitamin IV.
Okay, I'll Google it as
Yes,
you talk.
that is a thing that is happening in the world.
And so I clicked on this ad. It's an actual IV.
Yes.
They want you to go to a
Yes.
clinic and get a recreational
Mm-hmm.
IV.
And you know what? They don't even call them clinics in some places. It's a bar. They're like, come
Wait,
to this
what?
bar, get an IV stuck in you, and we will put health, quote unquote, products
Yeah, they had different
into
like
your
Who's
veins.
organizing
flavors.
Who's organizing these?
Yeah, I was like,
And why do you need a flavor if it's going straight into your blood?
Is it colored?
It looked like it, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they make them fun. Like
You can adjust your skin tone just through.
Okay, I found
No.
found the company that I got it from. It's called Vitamin Drip.
oh boy,
This is the one
is
that
it
they've been
Canadian?
targeting.
I haven't
me.
heard of it being in Canada.
This
yet.
was the ad
oh boy
that I got. So yeah, it's a nurse turned to the side. You can see her RN badge holding this looks like vitamin water in an IV
But, like-
bag.
and it's like orange. This bag, not the bag, the stuff in the bag.
Okay, so it's like embroidered onto her
Yeah, she's supposed to look like a
gown
nurse.
or whatever
Yeah.
whatever you call the
Yeah.
That is very bizarre.
Nurse.
Anyways, super bizarre. Yeah, that's a thing that's happening.
Yeah, do I know what their tagline is for Vitamin Drip?
Yeah.
Yes.
She can't even start.
drip it till you rip it.
Oh no, that's
know.
awful.
That would be
know.
better. So this is the tagline. It says TM next to it. They've trademarked this
Trademark this. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
for Vitamin Drip. Your life just better.
Cool.
Okay.
Like by my whole life
So it's
is
not-
being improved
It-
by this Vitamin
yes,
Drip.
because that's what wellness does for you.
So this isn't too far from this guy that
Sells dirt.
Holly was the
Sold
one that,
dirt.
the one that you were talking about, the dude.
The dude. Yes.
Who made?
It's not too far from that
Idea
like
of
that
health.
that concept
Mm.
of it's not good enough to just not live unhealthy. Like, you don't thrive at life by just not being unhealthy. You could be
Right.
living more healthy and therefore have a better life because you can keep up with your kids, or you can. Oh, we see this on like commercials for old age.
The commercials are for old age.
Drugs.
Hey, do you want old age?
Hey, do you want to be old? Do nothing else, and then it goes to the next commercial.
Yeah.
No, it's
You'll get
it's-
there.
Yeah, it's like for maybe not surgeries, but like walkers and mobility devices, and
I feel like
and pills and
arthritis.
stuff.
Yeah,
Where
pills for
it's like,
arthritis.
hey, you
do
can
you want
get
to
up
run
and-
around with your grandkids?
Yeah, and it's that whole concept of like, that when you're when you get older, or some people unfortunately even when they're not what we would consider old yet, but you're afflicted with something,
Mhm.
and you no longer can move. Like, wouldn't it be great to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible, so you can enjoy life for as much as possible? It's not just good enough to be not sick,
Mhm.
because that should be the default,
Mhm.
So
Which I think is a fair statement.
so this doesn't seem like it's too far from that. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, rather than just living, you could live and get a little like, it's like
Be
a 5-hour energy for your
inundated.
bloodstream
Your life,
or something.
but
or
better.
There are
whatever. I
so
don't
many
know.
other ways, though, to make your life better. It's crazy that they tagline that, though.
yeah.
I just checked.
Yeah.
They do have a clinic in Saskatoon.
Oh,
You can get
really?
vitamin drip here.
Investigative reportive work on the ground.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
am not supporting
Call in.
that.
Fund our medical drip.
Fund our medical trip. Oh my goodness, can you imagine?
Guys,
I don't wanna get-
guys, we're live from this MLM center right now.
I don't think it's an MLM.
No, we're
though.
doing a podcast about you. I promise. You gotta leave, guys. We got kicked out.
I just feel like that one in particular is a little off the wall to me, because why would I want it stuck straight into my veins when I could just drink it?
Yeah, invasive.
It's super invasive. Yeah, I don't know.
Invasive.
I was thinking it.
Oh, okay.
Not even Greg liked it.
Greg is grinning from ear to ear. He's proud of that one.
I mean,
He's happy he didn't think of it.
yeah.
He's happy he didn't have to be inflicted with my judging look
Yeah.
from saying it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So have you guys ever done something that was supposed to increase your wellness but was maybe a poor choice?
Increase my wellness, but was it poor choice?
Okay, so I can think of a few sort of examples, but one comes to immediate forefront.
Okay.
Okay, I love trying new things and going to like classes and events and stuff like that. I'm the queen of free events in Saskatoon.
That's true.
And so for a birthday gift for my most recent birthday, I got a gift card to go for a 90-minute float.
The float. I've
in
always wanted to
Saskatoon?
try that.
I
It
have
seems
always
like it
wanted
would
to
be
try
fun.
that.
So
Yeah.
it's this.
Health aside, it just seems
Yeah, it
like
just
it would
seems
be
like
a
it would
really
be
cool
nice.
experience. Like,
I mean, Ashton came back with stories about the other side.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Like the
Yeah, I-
upside down.
I saw
The
God.
upside
Yeah.
down.
I did meet God in that pool.
Or at least
At least you drowned.
or Demigorgon.
I am unavailable for
Either
Reiki
way.
next week, though.
Demigorgon.
The demigorgon.
Not my thing. Not my thing.
So what if you're unfamiliar with the floats are? It's where you go to generally it's like a center for this, and it's very wellness themed. Was there a lot of tie-dye in the welcoming room? Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, there was. Were they essential oil diffusers every 4 feet? Yes. Yes, there was. So you go into like a
Was
private.
it mineral water that you were
Oh,
bathing
yeah,
in?
I betcha.
Yes.
Heavy
People
mineral.
pouring out
Otherwise,
bottles
you
of
wouldn't have been
Fiji
able to
into
actually
the-
float.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go into like a private room, and you first have to like get naked and shower off because you didn't want all of your like gross skin
Bad energy.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like oils
Yeah.
and like lotion from that morning
Yeah.
in the pool. So you have to shower off with like their special like soap
Soap.
everywhere, and like no conditioner or whatever.
Mhm.
And then you get into the pool, El Commando, and
Is it small? Is it like
okay? So
your own little pool?
I am like 5'8.5" or so, and if I starfished, you could not quite touch all four corners of
Okay.
the.
Okay.
I was in like an egg shaped.
Yeah,
Oh, it is an
heard
egg shape.
Well, some places have different kinds of pods. I've seen.
Yeah,
Like,
they
some
have different
have a
ones.
pool
You can
and
get
some will
like
have a pod.
cabin style ones. I
Yeah.
was in like a clamshell
That's cool.
style egg shaped
Oh, that's
pool.
interesting.
And so, anyways, they turn off all of the lights.
So you're not in like a really small swimming suit or anything either. Like a really minimal one. Even you're just
No,
buck in that
just
pool.
skin.
Interesting.
Okay, I
would've
just
as-
have a thought
I would
of
have expected
They don't
at
want.
least some
They don't
coverage,
really
but-
ideally want you bringing clothing in there because it's hard to
Contaminate.
clean that.
I guess so.
Because so the pool I was in, it's only like I don't know, 1.5 feet deep,
Oh.
maybe
Oh.
2 feet. It's
like you
not very
couldn't
much
submerge
water.
if you wanted to.
Well, the thing
Don't
is
want
the
you to
salts
drown.
stop you from
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Okay.
very, very shallow, but enough so that you can like lie on your back and be off of the back or off of the ground. At least I was.
Yeah.
And there wasn't in my pool over 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts.
Wow.
No, that's an actual fact that he
That's
told me.
crazy.
Like they just dissolve it until the water is like completely
Murky.
saturated
Yeah.
with salts. And so that's why they don't want to like have exchange the water a whole lot because
'cause
that's a
it's
lot of
costly.
money. So they just
Yeah,
have
that's
like
fair.
a filtering system and a UV light
Oh,
to kill
yeah.
the bacteria
Okay.
Oh,
in
yeah.
between. And I was
That's
like, you know
fine.
what?
1.5 feet of
Honestly,
water.
being in the mall for 5 minutes will get me with more microbes from other people than being in this pool. I'm sure of it.
And that was Happy Thoughts with Ashlyn.
Yeah. So you lie on your back and it's completely dead silent and it's completely black and you put in your earplugs and you just lie there for 90 minutes.
Wow.
It's absolutely insane.
That's a long
And
time.
the intention is that you will fall asleep.
Oh, okay.
And I did, and it was the most expensive nap I've ever taken.
Was it relaxing? Did you feel relaxed at the end?
It was relaxing, but I'm not sure if it was that much more relaxing than a tea and a really good nap.
Okay.
But it was really cool. I know a lot of people who swear by it, and I'm sure
Mhm.
like taking an Epsom salt bath can be really nice for your muscles and things like that. And just floating, being a little bit like weightless for a while. I can imagine people with a lot of like joint issues that could feel really nice.
When I worked at the OBGYN office, I had one OBGYN that would, for pelvic pain,
Mhm.
chronic pelvic pain, she would basically tell her patients to go float
Yeah.
because it seemed to be helping. And she was like, I don't know if there's that much data behind it, but
Yeah.
the people that I send for it enjoy it and it seems to help. And so I
Yeah.
will just keep sending them for it.
It was one of those wellness things where it was super fun
Mhm.
and it was cool just to like try something
was free.
completely new. And I had a gift certificate for it. And I really truly did enjoy
Yeah.
it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But like I can't see it causing any harm,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure how many groups of people that would really benefit. And it's not cheap.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Yeah, it would harm your wallet more than
Yeah.
Which is one of the big detriments of the wellness movement is that a lot of these things, you can do a lot of the things that they suggest for free, like walking or going to bed on time or drinking more water or
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? But also a lot of these things are people taking or businesses taking advantage of people who want to be more
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
like better and healthier, and then they will pay anything
Mhm.
for it,
Yeah.
which is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's interesting. That is something that is like just on the edge where I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is some sort of pseudoscience, but it
But it
will
also sounds
probably
really relaxing.
be fun. Yeah.
Totally.
I'd love to try it.
Yeah, it's the same reason that I have a essential oils diffuser in my house, and I will occasionally diffuse essential oils. Why? Because they smell good.
It sounds like when you're talking to somebody that smokes weed and the rest of the people they're talking to doesn't smoke weed. I occasionally diffuse
Yeah.
some essential
Yeah,
oils.
but
honestly, it's like not for the health benefits.
it's just a social thing. It's just a social
I
thing.
diffuse essential oils
Yeah.
socially.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it just because they smell nice.
They do smell
Sorry,
nice.
marijuana.
Yeah.
No.
It's legal now, so you can't just use the slur term.
Oh, weed?
You can't say that.
Yeah, so I don't think it has any actual like amazing health benefits where this is, making my air antimicrobial or, it's aligning something in my spirit or making me feel more calm other than just the fact that it smells nice and that makes me happy.
Yeah. And
it teleports you to another plane, but
of course.
Yeah.
But
which plane is it? The Airbus?
Air Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Boys, have you ever done something that you thought would
Never
make you more healthy and
honestly
then
can't think
wasn't
of-
a great idea?
I can't.
Yeah, I also
I can't think of too much. I feel like the wellness movement definitely, I think, does target females more than males.
Absolutely.
Right.
oh, I can come up with another one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so Chris, your turn can come after. So all four of us at one time had passes to Planet Fitness.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. It was fun.
And they have a station called Total Body Makeover.
Right.
And I went there once. The Total Body Makeover room. Okay, so they had a Total Body Makeover room.
Was that for like members of like the black card?
Yeah,
it
we,
was.
weren't, we weren't allowed in there.
Yeah, I was the target audience for that.
Yeah,
They were
okay.
targeting white women, and so they found me.
Ashlyn is a white woman.
And so what this Total Body Makeover machine is the intention was that you would get into your skivvies, and then stand on this platform with your feet down and your arms hanging onto these handles above your head, and then the platform shook at like a specific frequency.
Was it like
And
those old timey belt things? Where
No.
women
It
would stand
was.
in the
Well, I
parlor
think it was
and,
a similar idea.
Okay.
Probably that's where they got their
Belt around
idea
their
from.
waist.
They're like, let's do this,
Shake the
but
fat
make
away.
it
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
So the platform shakes at a specific
A
frequency
literal
or whatever.
shake weight.
Yeah.
And then there's like red lights, I think, all around you. There's different, like sort of, it's a light
Different
therapy or
Mhm.
whatever to
Okay.
enhance your wellness.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But that was not flattering. Just imagine there's like, you are all red from these red lights everywhere. Your hands are above you. You're just jiggling. Like, every inch. Jiggling for like 10 minutes. And then they had...
Can other
okay,
people come in
so-
and out of this room while you're doing
No, you
said
lock
activity?
it.
Okay.
But,
I was like,
And there's
is there like a waiting area?
there's like a shower style like circular door
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
closed.
Yeah.
So because your hands are above you, that's where the controls are for this thing to like have which are like basic, medium, or advanced setting. of,
Oh,
like,
no. Did you hit the wrong button?
And Ashlyn's white, so she's like, I'm basic.
Yeah. But they had different songs you could listen to, and they were all like, okay, imagine you bought like a $30 like go to sleep white noise machine from Amazon. They
Yeah.
were the kind of songs you would get on that. That's just like really bad MIDI.
Yeah.
Like
soundtracks.
spa music.
Synth-y
Yeah,
Yeah.
like fake spa music, exactly like that. So you could control
Muzak,
those with the
yeah.
buttons on your arms above your head as you're like shaking away,
Oh my goodness.
being blinded by red light. So was my complete body maked over? Oh, totally. I now figured out just how much of me jiggles.
Congratulations.
I heard a comedian once that said, if you want to know how fat you are, all you have to do is get naked and jump up and down for about 5 seconds in front of the mirror and then stop and then count to see how many seconds it takes for the rest of you to stop. Yeah. Jiggling.
Mhm.
Unpleasant.
So that was entirely a wellness thing. They had all of these sorts of like facts about how much weight you were supposed to lose or how much equivalence to minutes running that like your 10 minutes on this total body makeover
right.
jiggling while having red light machine. And I don't know if I give any credit to any inch of that, but it was hilarious.
I mean, I would have tried it too. Like, again, it seems like it's fairly harmless
Yeah.
and
When
it
comes
didn't
with
cost
your
you
membership
anything.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't.
What?
You didn't try it even
But
once?
it was free.
No.
Why wouldn't you have?
I didn't try it at all. Instead, actually, while Ashlyn did that, I just did.
Ashton was jiggling.
Yeah.
Okay, listeners, I'm so sorry.
That we've said jiggling
We've
a bunch
jiggling
of times.
A bunch of times.
I just did the massage chair, which is probably the closest thing that I've done to like any kind of like a wellnessy
Wellness
thing.
Have you ever done smoothies or shakes
Sorry,
or
wait, but you-
detoxes?
You didn't do.
I haven't done detoxes.
You didn't do the chair or
I mean, I've
smoothies or shakes or anything because
I've-
of a wellness thing. You just did it because like it's relaxing, right? Like
It feels good.
yeah, like if
And you
Ashley
were
went and
waiting?
tried it for the sake of
Yeah.
like going and trying it and was like, whatever, this is ridiculous. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, you're now sucked into it. I mean, it
But
obviously
it was definitely a part of the wellness industry
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is too good to be true. I want to
well, you tried.
stand on the vibrating red
Yeah,
platform.
yeah, but like, but like, so you fell victim to like having to try it out. Like you,
I don't
you
even
couldn't
know if
Ah,
that's
no.
falling
tried
victim.
it
It's just
out.
curiosity.
That was straight curiosity. I came
Well-
in with a healthy amount of skepticism, left with the exact same amount of skepticism.
Yeah, like what I'm trying to say is that you're not like ranting and raving about how great it was and it's like a miracle cure. Neither did you for massage chairs or something like that. It's just like it's a thing that's fun and like feels relaxing and
Yeah.
might actually
Well,
relax you.
and
there's-
sometimes it feels relaxing, sometimes it does not. So
That's
I think that's
digging into your
yeah.
whole soul.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like that's probably the closest it's been. Maybe like
What about
No,
protein?
I can come up with
protein
another one.
powder?
Greg,
For you or
we
Greg?
did a wellness. We went to a wellness event together.
oh
Yeah,
What was
it was a
that
Nordic
event?
spa.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is
okay.
just outside of Calgary. We went there on recommendation of some friends of ours.
Mhm.
We're also friends of yours.
And it's this Nordic spa where they have these different pools of different temperatures, and they have a specific order that they want you to
Oh, I've
move
heard
through
of
the
those.
pools.
Yeah.
And so there'd be like a super hot one, and then a medium one, and then you
Mhm.
like go through this like ice one.
It's like
There's
a
like
cold one.
like chunks
yeah.
of ice still on the
Circular
water,
Wow.
pools.
and then like keep moving around. And the idea is it's supposed to be like really like detoxing and good for
Yeah.
you or
Like,
whatever.
speeds up your blood
Well, it's what the
flow or something.
Yeah,
like
so we
that.
tried the like pre-programmed spa recommended
Circuit.
rhythm
Mhm.
or circuit or whatever, and the cold one is nasty.
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
they do that pool is there's like an entrance side and an exit side, and the water kind of moves with you to be able to keep you moving throughout it, because they have some like jets pointed in one direction. But
Yeah.
because of that, once you get in, there's one way out, and it's the other side of the pool. So there's
You don't
no
have a
like
choice.
dipping your toes in and like getting up to your crotch and being like, oh no, and like just going right back out. You're in the pool. There's
Yeah.
jets going one direction, so you are just chugging it
So
across
that's
the
when
pool.
you front crawl.
Yeah. So, and it was like an uncomfortable height where you couldn't just like barely get in. You're like, I'm submerged in freezing cold water, and
Oh,
this is
man.
not
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, that's definitely was yeah.
Didn't
Something close.
Didn't change your life though.
Didn't change my life, no. And I'm sure that probably harkens back to like ancient Greek culture where they had the different temperatures of pools back in the day.
Just
Sure.
hot springs.
That's
I
just
have
what
no idea.
Mhm.
Well, like they'd have a cold pool and a hot pool, and it was just like a social thing,
Oh, I
and
see.
would just
Definitely
Yeah.
the way that they branded that was it was like a wellness thing, because afterwards we went
Yeah.
back to this lounge and ordered a very expensive charcuterie board. It
Mm.
tasted good,
Mm-hmm.
with like locally made stuff,
But-
cheeses. And
Yeah, but it was
whatever.
part of the like.
It was part
the
of the
packaged
experience. Is you get back
right?
and you
Yeah.
get these like really comfy robes,
Mhm.
and then you sit down in the lounge with like a glass of like chilled white wine and charcuterie after your pool experience. So,
Mhm.
but was it very relaxing? Yeah, like we did one circuit and then we just stayed in the warm one
The
because
warm one
that
was
one's
relaxing.
nice.
Yeah.
There was a
That's
lot
fair.
of other people also doing that.
Yeah.
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 I can't think of anything that I've tried. Like I've been to a hot springs before. I've like that's probably the extent of anything borderline wellness that I've gone out of my way to try.
Yeah.
I mean, massage. We've all
Massage.
Massages.
Okay. Yeah, but like nothing.
What was
Guys,
that
I'm
word?
drinking right now.
Nothing
It's
that
just
I'm-
coffee though.
nothing that I'm skeptical of. Like I wasn't skeptical of massage, and I'm not
Yeah.
skeptical of going to the chiropractic office.
No.
Um,
Although I will say that there are very different types of chiropractors.
Sure.
So
sure,
like
sure.
there are people that are
I
like,
went to a very
hey, it's good for you to have your
average-
spine
yeah,
straight.
yeah.
And then there are others of them that are like, hey, if you have your spine straight, it will cure your cancer. And those are very different claims.
That is fair. That is fair.
Oh, and here's some magnets, by the way, as well.
Yeah, good old magnet therapy. That dates back, man.
Well, like cupping and needle or what are they called?
Acupuncture?
Acupuncture. This is not on the topic of things that I was skeptical of, but I'm trying to think of things that I'm trying to think of wellness things in the negative sense, because that's how you pose the question. And the only things that are coming to mind are things that were forced upon me. Like now they call it move to grow, apparently. But when I was in elementary school, Saskatchewan, I don't know if it's exclusively Saskatchewan, but it was definitely at least our city, and maybe all of Canada had this kind of, it wasn't participation or something like that. But it was a program for students, and we would do a circuit of the schoolyard every morning. Like 2 or 3 circuits, whatever made up like a kilometer or a kilometer and a half's worth of distance. And it was this movement. I don't know. It was a program. It was another program
Activity movement.
Yeah, this Move to Grow program that exists now seems to kind of have replaced that. And I'm racking my brain to try to figure it out. If you're listening and you were a part of that program in your elementary school days, it would have been in like the early 2000s, sometime around there. And I can't remember what the name of it is, and I can't find it online. And it's like, it was called In Motion. I'm pretty sure. I think it was just called In Motion, and that's all it was. Never mind, listeners. I mean, you can still message us if you think of it. But
Too late.
But we gave you the answer.
everybody's going to message me and be like, hey, we heard on a podcast it was called In Motion. But I think that's what it was called. And it was like, yeah, exactly, 100%. And there's t-shirts. There's like lime green and bright blue t-shirts with the logos on it, and they were giving them away as prizes and this was a number of years. And it was just to get kids active. Like kids already run around on the playground, and that's fair. But I think it was just something to do with like, I mean, it was just that extra little bit that you weren't stuck in your chair in class. And it was right in the beginning of the day usually. So it gets you up, gets you moving, gets your blood flowing, and gets your brain working, and it probably there's probably some science behind it, and
I think that's one of the things that is good that has come out of the wellness movement.
Yeah, I was going to say it was forced upon me and therefore negative, but I mean it was bad in the winter, but we would go inside. We would do it inside in the winter, so it was
just
annoying to have to do.
Gym.
Yeah, or in the laps of the interior of the school or whatever. But
a free water ball is not
my
bad.
school was not big enough for that.
Yeah, but anyways.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is good that has come out of the wellness movement, that there's this recommended minimum activity amount that like they understand, or we understand as a culture, that sitting in front of your computer is not
all day long
for 5 days a week is not something that's good for you, that you need to be moving around. And even just moving, like even just increasing walking has significant health correlations. So yeah, it's a big deal.
We also wear Fitbits, right?
Yes.
We all
talked
do.
about this a few
Some of
episodes
us
ago.
do.
Several episodes ago.
Ashlyn has an Apple.
Sorry. The cool of us wear Fitbits, right?
Yeah.
Ashlyn used to have a Fitbit. Now
I
you have
did.
an Apple
She
Watch.
did.
I know I have upgraded.
If you have not
Downgraded.
listeners, if you have not checked out our episode, I was in the early 40s episodes about it was our Outbound episode.
Yes.
I think we talk very briefly in the middle of that about activity tracking and things like that. And so Ashlyn goes into the benefits of Apple Watch.
So bird
versus
watching is
Fitbit.
definitively also a offshoot of the wellness movement, right?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
Oh man.
Though I do feel well when I watch birds.
I think the only thing that I tried that I was really skeptical about was acupuncture, and I had been having a lot of headaches at the time. And so they sent me for acupuncture, and even the acupuncturist said, this is hit and miss for headaches. Like some people do it and it works really well, and some people do it and it makes them worse. So we'll try it with you and like be honest. It's not going to hurt my feelings if it doesn't work, because the point of this is to make it better.
Mhm.
And so I did it. I think I did it twice, and both times the headache got worse. But I don't actually think it was from the acupuncture. I think it was from the like, you get really relaxed because they put the needles in and then you lay there for like 20 minutes
Yeah.
and do nothing. And so your brain is just kind of shutting off
Mm-hmm.
and you're in that state where you're like half awake and
Mhm.
half asleep. And my headaches would always get worse if I ever let
Oh,
myself go
gotcha.
into that,
Mm.
like before or after a nap or anything like that. And so I think that's what it was more than the
Actual acupuncture.
actual
yeah.
acupuncture.
Mhm.
I guess now that I'm thinking of it, I also worked for a chiropractor that
Was a little bit on the like had
That,
a percentage of pseudoscience-y type thing.
yeah, most of the time he was pretty good
Mm-hmm.
with being scientific,
Yeah.
but there was one time that he was like, "Here, let me show you this thing I can do," and then he spoke to my back.
Oh,
Okay.
I just thought of
Wait.
something. This triggered a memory, but yeah, go. Yeah.
He's what did he say to
Tell me
your
more
back?
first,
Yeah.
Holly.
So he
Did he have like a whole
stood behind
conversation,
me.
or
Did the back respond?
Not audibly, yeah, he stood behind me and
Yeah.
spoke to my back, asked it questions,
Mm.
and I can 100% tell you that I did not move, and he was like, okay, yes. And then
That's like when I perform a magic trick. I have this trick that I perform where it's like the cards speak to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh really? Ah, interesting.
But it's goofy.
But
and
it's
part of
goofy.
the act.
But this
and
is
is
like,
somebody
he was
pretending to be
like
serious,
this is real. And so yeah, and then after he was done speaking to my back, I was allowed to turn around, and he was like, "This is what I found out." And so like, this is the kind of adjustment that we're going to do today, because that's what your back told me.
And you were okay. You like trusted him enough to
Well,
let him
he had
perform that
adjusted me
adjustment?
lots of times before that.
Right, but
before he was like, "Let's speak to your
Yeah.
So there's
there's already
something-
like a relationship of trust.
yeah,
Well, but
or
like
some kind of
there's an
Mhm.
element
something."
Yeah.
He also didn't believe in microwaves. He was a little
there's an element
Interesting.
of somebody putting their hand on your body, feeling what's wrong with it, and then being able to adjust it because of their training and their schooling. But then something like that where it's like a nonverbal
indication.
diagnosis
Yeah.
of this thing, like, and were
Well-
you completely comfortable with him doing that and you just figured it was weird, or were you uncomfortable but
No,
didn't
I
want
was
to tell him no?
Uncomfortable.
Okay.
Definitely uncomfortable. But
But
I
he was
mean-
giving you money bi-weekly, and so you were
I was his employee. I was not his employee for long after that. But yeah, it was an interesting experience.
What this did trigger in me was an experience that I had. Holy cow, it was weird. There was a time during summer that I had a job that was essentially like kind of working throughout the province, and we would get billeted into homes. And one of the homes that I was at, the woman there was like, "Kate, I have like a special gift that, you know, like I want to be able to do for you." And also a friend of mine was there as well. so essentially she was like, "Yeah, like I can sense magnetism in people's bodies."
Oh.
And
so do you have any heavy metals in you? That kind of thing?
Well, I don't know exactly how it worked, but anyways, so
Pulls all
she
the
just kind
iron
of
out
like
your body.
I need that for oxygen.
she just like she didn't like touch or anything. I think she just like moved her hand over like
Around your aura.
yeah.
I'm uncomfortable even talking
Right?
about it.
It was weird. And
Well, how old were you at this time? Like
Yeah.
15?
I don't know.
Why
Yeah,
was
16
this
or something.
lady
I
putting
don't
her
know.
hands near
putting
you?
your hands on your aura.
Yeah. It was very bizarre, but also like
Keep your hands up our husband's aura.
yeah. But yeah, and so it ended up being that the friend that I was with had a fresh bill of health from her.
Okay.
But me, there was something wrong with my kidneys, and that I should watch out for that at some point in the future.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So it wasn't
So it was
just like you have some metals in your body.
No, it was literally like
it was
a diagnosis, like
Wow.
where she was like, I'm not 100% sure about this, but like, just make sure you are kind of alert about this and watch out in the future. So,
But
Covering
it
her
was
butt.
also like
Yeah.
a prediction,
oh yeah,
like a
it was like a prophetic utterance
Yeah.
with
about your health.
with
wellness
her body
prophet.
scan.
A
thing.
wellness prophet.
Yeah, it was very
so
weird.
I want to know.
I'm glad you didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I did not. No, she did it for free, which was so
The mental
so
anguish
gracious
that
of
it
her.
cost him,
Yeah.
though, worrying about his kidneys for the next 5
Yeah,
minutes.
that is always those things where you're like, your mind goes, is there something to this or
If
is there
any-
not?
If
Like,
anything
should I?
ever happens to
Yeah.
Greg's kidneys, we're gonna be like, but that's kind of how a lot of that stuff goes too. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like a generalization of something, and the chances of it happening may be 50-50 even. Like
Mhm.
like it doesn't even.
So
like,
what
or
were
like-
you
yeah.
thinking in that moment? Like, what was 16-year-old Greg thinking about this? Were you actually concerned for your kidneys? Did you think this whole thing was a farce?
I was thinking, this chair is hard, and please stop laughing to my friend.
Were they giggling?
Yeah, I think we both it's just like it's just ridiculous, and it's just one of those awkward situations where you feel like you're being hosted, feel like you can't say no. It's like when somebody
Yeah.
like pulls out a board game and you're not a board gamer, and you're at their house and you're like, oh, okay, like none of us know that experience, but I definitively know people who do, who are just like, all right, we'll play, and so yeah, I think that's kind of so. It was weird. I felt, only mildly violated, but like mostly just mentally. Like it was just one of those things where I'm just like, well, great. Thank you for this bad news that I now carry with me for the rest of summer and potentially my life. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would say that we all have pretty level heads about this kind of stuff. But there are people out there who
I would say
I'm
there
gonna-
are people who want to believe.
well, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right?
but then there's also people who I'm not calling these people like stupid or crazy or anything. It's just there's people out there that are completely, I feel like they're like in the middle. Like they definitely don't believe it and are very overcritical and aren't very overcritical of things. But they also definitely do believe it. They're just like somewhere in the middle, and they're okay with giving it a shot. And if it ends up that they feel like it benefits them, then they'll just keep doing it. And it's not like a huge one way or the other thing. Like they won't try to sell it to you that that's a miracle cure, but they'll keep doing it for themselves because they did it once and it's worked great so far. Like I think I know that there's science behind this as well, but I think about things like people that take vitamins, and like you go to the store and there's a myriad of like hundreds of different kinds of vitamins. There's like dozens of different kinds of vitamins that are designated just by letter alone. There's many different B9 and B12 and like all of those kinds of things, and like I don't even know what all of those
So
do.
many fish oils.
Yeah, and like I grew up with the concept of like, well, it's good to take vitamin. It would have been either vitamin D or C. I can't remember which one it was, but it was something that
C
was
for colds.
C for colds.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one
Yeah.
that was tasted like orange.
Yes.
If you got the good stuff.
Yes.
And vitamin D is for
Nice.
lack of sun.
Yeah.
And so then in like the winter
Which is
season,
very
there
real.
was like there wasn't a push from my parents to do this, but there was definitely like bouts of time where it was like it's very important to do this for like a week or two at a time, and then we would kind of fall off the radar and we'd forget about it.
And echinacea.
Echinacea was
Yeah,
another
yeah,
one.
was a big
It was all
one.
supposed to be like preventative stuff, and like I'm sure that there's stuff in there that can do some kind of preventative thing or replenish your low amounts of whatever that you're missing. But as I got older, I wouldn't consider my parents crazy. Like my mom was a nurse, and so I assumed she knew what she was talking about. And she probably also grew up in a generation where maybe there weren't a lot of studies on some of this stuff, or maybe there were, and she was crazy and I've been lied to my whole life. I don't know. Like, like generally I trust my parents, right? Like I'm a
Yeah.
kid. I
Yeah.
assume that they know what they're talking about. And so I'd be like, okay, I guess if you say so. And it wasn't, as far as I can tell, it wasn't something that would have a harmful effect on me, or at least not obviously anyway. So then I just did it. And now I kind of am of the understanding that a lot of that stuff, while maybe accurate, would be something along the lines of, okay, well, if you're vitamin D deficient, you need to be this much deficient in order, like some great percentage deficient in vitamin D in order for taking a supplement to do anything for you. And if you do take supplements, it has to be a significant amount in order to do anything for you. Would I be right in suggesting that? Because I've
just a slightly different idea where it's like you really shouldn't take more vitamins unless you're deficient. Like unless you've gone to a doctor and they tell you that you are deficient in something.
Right.
If you are taking like even a multivitamin, there's a lot in there that
You're just peeing out.
you're just peeing it out. Yeah, because your body metabolizes it. Like when my parents also were like, you think you're getting a cold? Here, take 3 of these vitamin C's. They were just like letting me pee out their money, basically, right?
Well,
like there's no reason for that at all, because once it hits the upper threshold, your body just metabolizes it,
and the
it's-
rest just flushes.
Yeah, exactly.
and
then on the other hand, there are like oil-based vitamins that actually do just stay in your body, and if you overtake them, you can overdose, and like that's actually dangerous. But nobody ever talks about that.
wow,
It takes a lot.
Yeah, and then if you think about what we take when we are sick for like cold and sinus medication, I think for the longest time, when I was younger, I just assumed that taking that was a way to like push through it faster, and it would like resolve faster because the medication had something to do with like fighting it.
With healing,
and yeah, with healing. And like, again, not in like a ridiculously magical sorcery kind of way, just like, oh, science, they have put stuff into these pills that allows it to like progress the cold or flu faster and then get it through your system. And really what it does is it like alleviates your symptoms, right? And so then you move through the cold or sinus, flu, you move through the cold or flu or what have you at roughly the same rate, but just with lesser symptoms, and so you're more comfortable.
It's just a way to get you back to work. No joke.
It's big work. I don't know.
Big work. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
as a kid, definitely, I know that like Buckley's was a big
I'm sorry, what?
Buckley's.
Buckley's?
Yeah.
Not Buckley's.
No, it is There's a bit of a glottal stop in the middle.
There is not.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if you have a cold, you need to have that glottal stop in there.
I need some Buckley's.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. So, anyways, but like, there was
ridiculous.
There was both a medicinal quality to it, but then also an entertainment quality in watching your brothers, get a spoonful of Buckley's.
No.
Buckle up.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
For Buckley's.
Oh, and it was great. I remember that when there was a job that I had during summer, it was actually the same one, and there were some people from I think that who I was working with, and I think they came from China, and they hadn't had ginger beer before or Buckley's, and so we gave them
You gave them both
a
of
taste
those?
of both of them.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. No, we were
That's
kind.
good.
We were very kind, but we were like, these taste not great, but you should experience them.
I love
because-
ginger beer.
Yeah.
Yum.
Well,
I don't love
anyways.
Buckley's. It's yucky. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's interesting.
from my childhood, definitely it was like a lot of that, and it did make me feel better because I think your whole throat got numb at that point. So you're just
Yeah.
like, I can't feel anything. so.
Buckley's is
It's menthol.
Yeah, it's just really concentrated, I
Mhm.
think. Yeah, it's quite effective to get you back to work.
I give a thumbs up to that
Yeah.
part of the wellness movement.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really great about the wellness movement is, I mean, all of these things have their drawbacks, but the awareness and application of like mental health and
Yeah.
thinking about mental health
as part of a
as-
holistic
also-
health.
yeah, as like I take care of my body and I go and see a doctor when I feel sick. Why wouldn't I go and see a therapist when I feel depressed or
Totally.
or when I don't know how I'm feeling or whatever?
Yeah, I think it has normalized, especially like recently
Significantly.
counseling, like talking about, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I go to a counselor. Like that's not crazy uncommon. So, you
Mhm.
know, and I think and it's never, now it's not necessarily like, oh, yikes, you're going to a counselor.
Yeah, it always
You know?
before like when
Yeah.
I grew up, it meant that you had mental illness.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. And
No.
even if you do have mental illness, then why wouldn't you go see
Yeah.
somebody
Mhm.
for it?
When I think everyone
Yeah.
realizes they have issues. Oh, and after the pandemic, everyone definitely realized
Yeah.
that they had
Yeah.
issues. They were like, yeah, lockdown, oh man.
Whatever you had a little bit of before, now you have a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am very
It's-
well aware.
It's definitely a generational movement
Mhm.
to be more. Well, okay, so I've thought about this off and on. I don't know if it has any correlation, but the whole the whole thing about being in the younger generations that grew up with social media and a lot of that influence that you have
Mhm.
from others online that everybody else in history hadn't had
Mm-hmm.
when they were growing up or even older. The like way that we're so self-critical when we or self-judgmental, I wonder if that had any lead into us becoming, maybe for better or for worse, more self-aware. And so it lends to, this is me just like thinking out loud, but like maybe it lends to us realizing that mental health and wellness is actually a valid and important part of who we are, and like, yeah, you could go so far as to get into arguments about, well, people think that we deserve to be happy, and like, okay, so do you believe that you deserve anything in life? Like, that's a whole other conversation, but but we've gone from generations of people where if something was wrong but not outrageously apparently wrong, you just kind of suck it up and deal with it, or even everything was very private, so you definitely don't
Mm-hmm.
you definitely don't broadcast your issues or your struggles with the world, least of all on something like a social platform. And we can see how there is the ability for that to be misused and used against
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Oh,
And so
certainly.
there's not no credibility to that kind of thinking, but I do wonder if it's produced this way where we're so self-analytical and then we realize, like, this isn't good for me to be this way. Like, why am I this way? And you start thinking about it, and then you know, like, I guess you can make up anything and nobody can tell you otherwise because it's in your head and you are the only one that knows what you think and how you feel, and everybody else just has to trust you. And so I guess there's danger to that too, because nobody can, you know, critique you or criticize you, because if, you know, again, I'm going off into a bunch of different topics, but like that whole, like, I feel like what I'm trying to say is I feel like out of something that potentially could go a little bit too far and be negative, there are these like offshoots where we find something redemptive in that. And I definitely feel like I might not agree with how far somebody might take it, but I definitely don't think that people deserve to be mentally unwell for, like, even just, I don't know, even just like you're struggling with school or something like that. Like,
yeah, something that's
whole-
temporary, but
yeah,
actually
the whole,
really
like,
is
the whole,
bothering
like,
you.
oh, suck it up. Like, you can get through it. You know, I've done it, or other people, hundreds, millions of other people have gotten through school and they haven't been, you know, like, I think changing the attitude and voice around, like, validating people's, like, struggles, like what they're dealing with inside. I think that opens up a lot of opportunity to, I don't know, just
care for other people.
yeah, like, and if the point of it is to be healthier and I guess, you know, to be super generic about it, live like a fuller life,
Yeah.
but better.
Yeah.
You know? Then why wouldn't you want all aspects of your life to like, you wouldn't want to look healthy on the outside and then inside just be a mess.
Mhm.
Like then you're living a better life for others to see, but not for you to actually feel. Like that doesn't make any sense. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's important.
Yeah, and I think it's a really strong thing that's come out of the wellness movement that I don't really think that the dude that wrote our health definition at the beginning ever really thought of.
Fully aware of.
Mhm.
Yeah, that like he was thinking about just don't be physically unwell. That's not quite good enough. You need to thrive. And then we turned it into something that affects our entire life, which is socially and mentally and emotionally. And all of those things affect our health. And we have a myriad amount of proof that all of those things affect our health significantly. So
Yeah, I do think that one of the, like, before we started this episode, there was that I thought of was just like, there's the positive of, like it's good that we're able to be somewhat self-analytical and like, like listen to what your body's telling you, or, like having those kind of moments of, sometimes you uniquely need something for yourself that doesn't necessarily work for other people. And so, but with the whole wellness movement, it does, one of the things that I think that is somewhat of a negative is that it is a very individualistic thing. And we live in a very individualistic
hard
culture.
to do it in community.
And so, it's like, I think to have a better holistic view of wellness, I think we also need to start maybe embracing a more communal sense as well, where we start thinking, okay, how do these things affect us as a community, which is like a whole wide, broad topic there. But like, I think that is something that definitely the wellness, the parts of the wellness movement that take advantage of people, take advantage of them because they're isolated and they're just thinking on their own. And so, but I think if we act within a community, we're able to start making more better, healthy choices that can impact us on it as an individual level, but also as a community. And we can do things like reconciliation and taking care of the environment if we, like have that kind of a focus. So yeah.
And that's really interesting. What I was thinking about as I was like planning this out was, where does this take us now? Like we can see where it came from and we can see what it's done to our society currently, but where does it go from here? Does it get even worse, or do we focus on, community, and does our society in 20 years actually look like a bunch of community gardens because we're doing things together and we're getting outside and we care about the environment, and it's not just a manicured lawn everywhere or whatever, like some of those things. Because when we think about the like really green futures that make everyone go, oh, wouldn't that be nice to live there? Like they are all based around outdoor community living. And I think that fits really well with the wellness movement. If it can start being a fad, then maybe we can get
So we just
there.
have to like force things into becoming a fad so that people pick up on them.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think that's a really good point, Greg, about the individualistic nature of the wellness industry, because what that made me think of was I'm trying to think of locations in Saskatoon where you can get a lot of these wellness treatments, and how many of those buildings in Saskatoon where you can get these wellness treatments are part of gentrification.
Oh yeah.
Like so many of them. A lot of like wellness places are the like first starts into a low income community where all of a sudden like it's a low income community that has hot yoga,
right?
Or it's a low income community that now has an organic, health foods store, or something like that.
Telling those people that don't have the income to buy those expensive things that they have to buy those expensive things. Yeah, and taking advantage of that.
And I think that's a sign of that individualistic nature of the wellness industry.
Yeah, one of the big criticisms of the wellness movement is that while it does allow people to stop being a victim of their circumstances, it gives you a lot of power individually. It can also create a lot of obsession. And obsession is where you can fall into taking every road that the wellness industry hands to you. And then you spend all of your money and all of your time being better, even and pursuing this perfect specimen that you can never actually achieve, because all of the wellness industry, a lot of it is telling you contrary things to other parts of it, right? And so you can never only eat dirt and also never eat dirt, you know, like it just doesn't work. And so people get obsessed with it and then ruin themselves, both financially and health wise. And that's exactly the opposite of what this movement was trying to do in the first place. But on the other side of that is giving people this idea and confidence that, hey, you might have just crappy genes and like everyone in your family is obese, but you don't need to be if you don't want to be, right? And go out and walk. Or you might have a job just by coincidence that you sit around a lot, and or maybe has some poor mental health aspects to it, because people are never kind all the time, right? And so you don't have to just sit and take that. You can go and see a counselor, or you can do these things. You can take that into your own power. And so it's a really like fine line, I think, that you have to walk if you're going to take advantage of the wellness movement and then not get sucked in to something, one thing or another, because there's so many things vying for your attention.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think one of the things that I thought of is just that they do take advantage of that. We kind of talked maybe a little bit about this in our like time episode, or like in terms of like there are things that brevity, I think it was that one. But we talked about just how like there are some things that make it more convenient, so like a microwave or like a car to get you places. And I think that that is one of the things that like we're all looking for, that get fit quick kind of thing, right? Like, and I think that's what it takes advantage of, is I can get to this result in way less time if I do this
conveniently and efficiently.
Conveniently and efficiently.
That's what leads us towards more of the unhealthy.
Yeah. And I think that's
because there's nothing wrong with getting fit or being healthy necessarily. There's obviously you could become obsessed with that, but
sometimes there's no shortcuts.
But but there might not be shortcuts in some of these things. Are like, oh well, if you just drink this shake,
jiggle under this red light for 10
minutes,
it's equal to 30 minutes of jogging.
Exactly.
And some of that stuff is like, well, sure, if you eat that way for 3 months, then of course you're going to lose weight, because you're just you're starving your body. But then there's branding around it of, trying to make it reputable, and so the branding becomes, oh, but you're giving yourself only the high quality carbs that you need or whatever. And so, anyways, I'm sure that there's some like legitimate science behind some of that, because often there's some sensical things, not always, but often there's some sensical foundations for some of this stuff, and then it just explodes beyond control.
It usually starts with some sort of
like a
idea that makes sense and has scientific backing.
But I think the big thing is just to like recognize that you can live a healthy lifestyle, but that it's okay if it takes time, and it's okay if it takes work. And it's, and so we don't always have to look for those shortcuts, right?
And sometimes that time might be the point.
Yeah.
It's like it's like RSPs, where if you start saving earlier, then suddenly when you blink and it's 10 years later, you'll have the money that everybody says you can have if you put it into an RSP 10 years earlier, and it multiplies or whatever kind of
but I don't want to wait for the money. I want the
Mm-hmm.
lottery.
Right, but we can see that is how that works.
Yeah.
And yet when it comes to things like health and the way that we eat and the way that we exercise, and then we do it for a month or even 2 months and science goes, yeah, you might have to do it for X amount of time before you even start to see any results. Or you'll see a lot of results in the first 5 days and then no results for 5 weeks because that's how the body works. And then we go, okay, but like I trust science, but because I'm not seeing the results, you lose the conviction of that. And a lot of that probably goes hand in hand with our episode last season about January and New Year's resolutions and things like that. And about like, forget about doing something because somebody else says that it does certain things for you. Like focus a little bit more on like doing something that you want to do to better yourself. And so if you're committing to exercise 3 times a week or 4 times a week or 5 times a week or whatever, make it a realistic goal or work up to the goal, and just understand that if you're doing it to better yourself, that if that's the end goal is to better yourself, and just keep that in mind. And
keep
nice
in mind that you're getting better
but
each day that you do it.
Yeah,
like the goal isn't always the point.
It's a mind over matter thing. I understand.
Yeah.
We're sitting here on the other side of this microphone going like, we know how it goes, and then
because I exercise every day,
and then we turn around and we don't do the same thing.
Yeah,
right. Or we struggle with the same thing.
Yes.
And so,
I can talk about how well I am till I'm blue in the face, but we had McDonald's for lunch.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Big Mac combo.
It was my cheat day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's one more thing that I want you guys to all know about before we stop.
And that is negative ions.
No, but that's a good one. No, it's raw water. Have you ever heard of raw water?
I have, so I won't spoil it.
That's because after I heard about it, I was like, Christopher, you need to know about this. Okay, what do you guys think it is? What do you think raw water is?
Okay, I am picturing that raw water is like sourced water from an open body of water somewhere
Okay.
that is not boiled.
Oh, like unsafe,
Yeah.
unpurified drinking
But
water.
they'll say that it, like,
I'm
it
thinking,
contains
I'm
all the
thinking
minerals
it's
of
that,
the earth.
like the little small pockets of ice that they found on Mars, and then they just melted down.
That'd be kind of cool.
How expensive would that be?
I would drink Mars water.
Elon Musk could
gravy.
afford it. So.
You would drink Mars water.
I didn't mean
You would not, because it would be $400,000 per ounce. How did they get that back to you?
Let's say that Mars had water and they found a way to bring it back, and I got a hold of it at, let's say, no cost to myself.
From the black market and had to sell Greg's kidneys.
But how great would that be to be able to say, spoiler alert, they're trash. I'm on the Martian diet, like that's great.
The Martian
That's great.
diet. Oh my goodness.
If it was safe, I would say, I'm drinking Mars water. That'd be pretty cool.
What is
Anyways.
raw water?
Ashlyn is very correct. It is just water. It is just water sourced from the woods, which I don't know if you've ever been hiking, but often they
It's
say
gross.
don't drink the water in the river.
Because of beavers.
Now, why
Because
why
of
actually
beavers.
is
Well, there's
that,
like beaver
though?
fever or whatever, right?
Right, but that's not just because of beavers.
It's definitely because of them. Like they're in the name, so.
because
I
because
went.
there was
we
a
went
whole
to camp
time
for years in the summer, and we swam in a lake that had.
But we
granted,
didn't
it had
drink the
high
water.
salt content, but people would swallow it by accident.
And how many times did you have soupy poops?
I don't know. I wasn't
soupy, hot, terrible poops.
I wasn't chugging this water.
Right, exactly.
I was just
So
accidentally
if
swallowing
you-
a bit of it. And
If you go on a website, you can buy raw water for $100 a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
$100 a gallon
Those
for
are some
water that
What's
can't.
gallon?
expensive tapeworms.
what's gallon in kilometers?
This is a killer deal.
A killer deal. Yeah, it might be because you don't know what's in it. And yeah, you don't know what's in it. It's not treated in any way, shape, or form. And it has been, it's a little tapered off now, but it has been a huge fad that people have spent a lot of money on. I only drink raw water. Can you imagine how expensive that would be? And we come from a past where they had to realize that the wells in London were the thing that was causing the epidemic that was spreading through right?
Yeah, I would like they need to have stats on those bottles of like average age of death before and after the discovery of boiling water.
of just boiling water.
Yeah,
They
just
have-
boiling it.
Mhm.
They have warnings on cigarettes. And that doesn't stop people. So
That's true.
like I don't.
Yeah, because the
know that
rhetoric
would
around
matter.
this is that the less you do to nature, the more good it
pure-
is for you because it's more pure.
I think
yeah.
it's that mentality of, oh, we didn't even touch on this at all, but that's could be its whole own podcast about how when you're living like there's all these things about like living the ancestral lifestyle,
Mhm.
like living
Mhm.
like the Neanderthals did.
the
And it's like I'm pretty
what's it
sure
called?
that
The
we
long time fallacy or something like that.
I don't know.
The
It's just
ancient myth fallacy.
Mhm.
sure. It's like as a comedian that Holly and I enjoy once put very plainly. Yeah, everybody's family used to live out in the woods and camp before we invented houses. You know, so like, yeah, of course we used to do that, or maybe not. Of course, maybe that's too concrete of an understanding that I do not have of how people used to live. But perhaps that is how it came about. But we moved on from that, and a lot of these things, like you said, like even in London, they came to understand that that was not a good thing, and they made it better.
Yeah, they
Hopefully.
found
Like,
ways
they found
so that people wouldn't be sick.
Yeah, so we stopped
and
doing
now
that stuff.
people pay an exorbitant amount of money in order to get sick.
Mhm.
And it makes me crazy.
That's
I mean, we
bonkers.
have free healthcare here in Canada, so we're
please,
okay.
please don't abuse it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
They'll
just
make us
Canada that's selling this
They'll
stuff.
make us start paying for it again. I promise.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought you should know about raw water because
Mm.
it makes me nuts that that's a thing in the world.
That's crazy.
Mhm. It is crazy.
I still
Well,
think Mars water would be better.
I think even just after recording this episode,
Oh,
I
yeah.
need to turn on my Himalayan salt lamp and
Oh,
receive
yeah.
as many negative ions as I
Oh
possibly
my
can.
goodness.
It's true. Yeah.
Your
And then
Himalayan
gotta
salt
get
lamp.
the diffusers going.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got to eat just a ton of vitamins, like swallow, maybe not eat, but
Eat vitamins.
I mean, if they're those gummy bear ones, then sure.
ooh, and then
Flintstones? Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, those
and you
are
can take off all the
yummy.
fridge magnets and put them on your forehead.
and hope that they stick because you're a little bit sweaty.
Oh, I don't know. Just
Or no,
while
no, no.
lying
No,
down.
you put them on
They
your
put your-
shoulder
No.
where
Oh,
your
yeah,
vaccine
yeah.
was.
No, you
Oh.
put them on
Yeah.
Greg's kidneys.
Oh yeah, that's right. My kidneys do need it.
I'd like
Poor guys.
I'd like to manifest many emails into our inbox at thehouseboundpodcast@gmail.com. Talking about like what kind of things have you encountered? Because we definitely didn't touch on all of them. And we might have overlooked some what should have been incredibly obvious additions to the wellness community or to the wellness movement.
One of the things we didn't touch on at all, which again could have its whole own podcast, is I forgot the name of it. What's the effect when it doesn't actually do anything?
Oh.
Is the placebo effect,
Mhm.
and like what kind of positives you can have just,
Oh,
just from
totally.
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
that you have a positive, and then sure, do it as long as it's not dangerous for you or
Mhm.
anybody
Mhm.
else.
This reminds me of another podcast.
Oh.
So we can rep friends of the pod. There's a podcast called The Dream.
Mm.
In season 1, they look at MLMs. And in season 2, they look at the wellness industry.
Oh,
and
really?
in that episode, the leader of the podcast is very skeptical about wellness items. And she lives somewhere in a highly populated U.S. city. I don't remember which one.
Mhm.
And so there's lots of options available to her. So she goes to a few different wellness therapies. And one of them, which is definitely like thoroughly into the wellness camp of like weird stuff where she
Mhm.
tunes into her inner child.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
She receives fantastically positive results as a part of that like singular therapy, that it
that's
really
lovely.
connected with something.
Yeah.
So I'd highly recommend listeners of the pod to check out season 2 of The Dream, and their investigation into the wellness industry. It's quite interesting.
I also have a reference podcast that came to mind, and I think I've mentioned it before, but Sawbones,
Yeah.
a marital tour of misguided medicine, is just prime for some of this stuff. I have actually heard about both raw water and black oxygen organics through them. They did full episodes on it and like histories of all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
They also did an episode on Sawbones. Also did an episode on Vicks Vapor Rub,
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
which is not so popular in Canada necessarily as
we used
well,
growing up.
Yeah.
and it has like menthol in it or something
Sure,
like
yeah.
that.
But it's just
in other
jelly.
countries, it is heavily used for all sorts of things.
Yes.
Not just cough and congestion.
yeah.
Very
And
interesting.
is like thoroughly entrenched in the wellness industry for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
It's one of
super
those like
interesting.
Vicks Vapor Rub can cure anything.
Yeah. That's in the snake oil episode, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's really, really interesting. It's a really good podcast. You should check it out.
This is clearly a very deep topic,
Oh,
an
yeah.
intricate topic, and
Like their whole podcast is basically about weird medicine things, which isn't necessarily the wellness community, but a lot of it connects to it.
Well, and there's new things popping up all the time
Yes.
in wellness.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
This is not something where they're done.
No,
Yeah.
continually. And I think one of the things that we do need to tell our listeners about is just a really new opportunity. It's called waving. And what you do is you just keep listening to this podcast, and there will be just some tonal frequencies that will be played, and it's like a fresh
Like
Just-
binaural beats
Yes.
or whatever.
Like I was thinking whale noises.
yeah,
it's just me on a different frequency
Yeah.
overlaying under the podcast, being like,
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of is like it gives your ears a bit of a bath, and it just allows it so that like and it just cleanses the ears of any of those negative audio energies that are pervading our world.
Well, thanks for that, Greg.
You're welcome. It's an opportunity, and we also have a subscription service. If you do want more waving, it's $9.99 a month. And
If you pay Chris to do this for you, I don't
you can
know
send
how I feel about
e-transfers
that.
to the Housebound podcast.
Yeah, no.
gmail.com. I don't know what to say.
I feel like
I'm
they
not gonna
should
promise
get you on
anything,
Cameo to just go whoa whoa.
but- Yeah.
A custom wow wow. Personalized wow wow.
For your birthday, wow wow.
I'm done.
it's called, and we're branding it House Sound.
Oh
It's just where I set up a microphone in the middle of my living room,
Yeah.
record creakings of the house
Oh,
settling
there we
during the
go.
day.
no. Odin barking at the people outside.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, thanks for listening, because this has been a trip.
And a half.
Yeah.
Maybe a quarter.
Holly, where
Yeah.
can people find us?
All right, so you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anchor.fm/housebound, and all streaming platforms that you can think of. So listen more, please. Thanks.
Wow wow
Oh, somebody else went up.
I was laughing.
Pick a note and stay on it.
Yeah.